In today's video, I have got 3 different separate stories that were on this channel piled into a compilation video. Some of these are old stories, some of these are new ones, but other than that, it will be a new viewing experience for you, the viewer. And if you do enjoy today's content, make sure to like and subscribe, because I upload on here every single day. And make sure you go and follow my TikTok channel on TikTok, it's called Missing Mystery, and make sure you give me a comment of what case you would like me to do next. But other than that, let's get into today's video. On the night of January 2nd, 2000, Zeb Quinn disappeared in Asheville, North Carolina. Zeb was 18 years old and worked at a local Walmart. He was described as a normal teenager with a routine job and future plans ahead of him. That night, he finished his shift at about 9 PM and planned to meet a co-worker, Robert Jason Owens, because he was interested in buying a car. After work, Zeb met Owens in a Walmart parking lot. The plan, according to the documented account, was that the two of them would drive separately towards Leicester to look at a vehicle Zeb was considering. A short time later, surveillance footage captured them at a nearby gas station around 9:15 PM buying drinks at a convenience store. The gas station footage is one of the last solid anchors in the timeline. After this, everything becomes uncertain. According to Owens, after leaving the gas station, Zeb signalled him to pull over by flashing his headlights. Owens said Zeb told him he had received a page on his paper and needed to return the call. Owens reported that Zeb used a payphone, and when he came back, Owens described him as frantic. Owens said Zeb told him he needed to cancel the plans, then drove off, and during that moment, Zeb's car rear-ended Owens' truck. This is the last widely reported sequence before Zeb vanishes from confirmed view. Later that night, Owens went to a hospital for injuries. He said he had just came from a second car accident and needed help, but no accident report was filed. The next afternoon, Zeb's mother filed a missing person report when he did not come home. 2 days after Zeb was last seen, a man called Zeb's Walmart and told a co-worker that Zeb would not be coming to work because he was sick. The co-worker thought the voice did not sound like Zeb at all. That call was later traced to a Volvo plant where Owen works, and Owens admitted placing the call, claiming Zeb asked him to call in as a favour. On January 6, 2000, only a few days after he was missing, Zeb's mother received a phone call telling her Zeb's car had been discovered and was in a parking lot of a barbecue restaurant that was near Asheville Hospital. Police then later located and examined the car. The scene was very unusual though. The car's headlights were still left on, and a live black Labrador was inside of the car. And also on the back of the window, someone had drawn a pair of lips and an exclamation mark in pink lipstick. And also inside, investigators also found items that did not belong to Zeb, including drinks bottles and a jacket and a hotel keycard that could not be traced to a specific hotel. But Zeb was not in the car, and from that point on, he was never seen again. Investigators looked at multiple angles, including people in Zeb's social circle and individuals he had been reportedly had conflicts with, and the case remained unresolved for years, but it gained renewed attention after Owens was arrested in 2015 for an unrelated triple homicide. And in 2017, Owens was pleaded guilty for first-degree murder in Zeb Quinn's case. And in July 2022, Owens entered a plea deal and pleaded guilty to accessory after the fact to first degree, which legally established that Zeb Quinn was murdered, even though his body was never found. But to this day, Zeb Quinn has never been recovered nor found, and his remains have never been found. If you did enjoy today's content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I shall be doing one every single day that I have been doing so far. Also, I have got a TikTok channel called Missing Mystery. Make sure you go and check that out as well, because I do upload short form content over there. But other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one. The story of D.B. Cooper remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history. This story is just so fascinating, how he actually escaped and no one found him to this day or knowed what happened that day. It's just really bizarre. Today we are going over the story of D.B. Cooper from 1971. Let's get into today's story. On the afternoon of November 24th, 1971, a man identified himself as Dan Cooper, who would later be called D.B. Cooper, bought a one-way ticket for $20 on Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. Cooper was described as a middle-aged man around 40 to 50 years old, dressed in a black suit, a black tie, a white shirt, and wearing sunglasses. As the Boeing 727 took off with 36 passengers on board, Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant who was called Florence, telling her he had a bomb. She thought it was just a random gesture and she ignored it, but Cooper then whispered, "Miss, you better look at that note. I have a bomb." The note claimed that he was carrying explosives and he asked for her cooperation. He wanted $200,000 in cash in $20 bills, 4 parachutes, 2 for himself and 2 for reserved, a fuel truck standing by in Seattle to refuel the plane for further travel. The flight crew and passengers remained unaware of this hijacking for most of the flight. The pilot contacted air traffic control and they worked with the FBI to gather Cooper's demands. As the plane circled Seattle for about 2 hours to give officials to organize the ransom and parachutes, Cooper remained calm and composed. He was ordering them and he ordered a bourbon and a soda. When the plane landed at Seattle International Airport, Cooper allowed all the passengers and some crew members to disembark in exchange for the money and parachutes. He inspected the parachutes and the money to ensure they met his demands. Cooper then ordered the plane to take off again, instructing the pilots to fly south towards Mexico City at an altitude of 10,000 feet and at a low speed of about 200 knots. He specifically instructed that the plane's rear exit, which had a retractable air stair, remain open during the flight. The flight took off with 5 people on board: Cooper, the pilot, the co-pilot, the flight engineer, and the flight attendant. At around 8 p.m, somewhere over the forest of southwestern Washington, Cooper strapped the ransom money to his body, donned a parachute, and jumped out of the plane via the rear air stair. The pilots safely landed the plane in Reno, Nevada, where authorities discovered that Cooper was no longer on board. Despite an extensive search, no trace of Cooper was found. The FBI scoured the area. They focused on the dense woods around Ariel, Washington, near the Lewis River, but there was no one there. There was nothing there. Over the years, some clues have emerged, but none have definitely solved the case. In 1980, an 8-year-old boy found $5,800 in decaying $20 bills, buried along the banks of the Columbia River. The serial numbers on the bills matched the ransom money, leading investigators to believe that they were near Cooper or near his trail. However, no further evidence was found in that area. Several suspects have investigated over the years, but none have confirmed as Cooper. The case remained open with the FBI for decades, with hundreds of potential leads, but all fizzled out. The theories about D.B. Cooper's fate are very vivid or wildly. Some believe Cooper survived the jump and escaped with the money, living out the rest of his life in secrecy. Several individuals have claimed to be Cooper or have been identified as potential suspects, but no solid evidence have supported these claims. Others argue that the jump was far too dangerous for an amateur skydiver, and when he jumped out of the plane and went in the woods, he fell and he died. And they think that he had died in the wilderness and that his remains are somewhere there, but no one can trace them. The FBI officially closed the case in 2016, calling it one of the longest and most exhaustive investigations in their history. Despite their best efforts, Cooper's true identity and fate remain unknown to this day, fueling endless speculations about where he was and where he had been. And The story of D.B. Cooper has become a part of American folklore, inspiring numerous books, movies, TV shows and documentaries. Despite the lack of evidence, no one still knows what and where D.B. Cooper went after he jumped out of that plane. But anyway, if you like today's content, make sure to like and subscribe. This story is one of the fascinating I have done, but make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and today we're going to be going over a story that I found on Reddit. This story was pretty peculiar when I saw it, so I thought it would be the best video for today. And if you do like this content, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's go over this Reddit story. It was an average night, around 9 p.m. He and his little cousin, boy's little cousin, were at his cousin's house, babysitting for the night. We don't know who the cousin or the boy's name was because he didn't put it in, obviously, for their privacy. He and his little cousin were at his cousin's house, babysitting for the night, while his mum and aunt were out shopping, and his dad and uncle were at the movie theatre. He was just sitting there watching TV with his cousin, but he got a feeling something felt strange. Something was wrong. Though he couldn't put his finger on it, the uneasy feeling wouldn't go away. So he got up and walked to the back door and locked it. For an unknown reason, he thought to himself, I need to lock the back door. As he walked back through the kitchen, because you had to go through the kitchen to get to the back door, and then he was walking from the back door through the kitchen again, he saw what had been causing the strange feeling. A very decrepit, homeless-looking man was staring into the window, looking right at his cousin. Instantly, a protective, guardian instinct kicked into him, and he, pretending not to see the man, he told his little cousin they needed to go upstairs because their parents would be home soon and wouldn't want him to stay up late. After putting his cousin to bed, knowing full well there was a man outside who wanted to come in, he went back downstairs. So here it is. He put his cousin to bed because he didn't want to scare him. He didn't want to tell him that there's a man outside, not to worry his cousin. And all of his parents and all of his cousins and all the relatives were out places. So what does he do? He goes back downstairs. At the time, he was about 125 pounds, maybe 5'8", playing football for his school. Remembering this, he went straight to the kitchen and grabbed a meat hammer. Then checked the window again, but the man was gone. He rushed to the front door and ensured both the deadbolt and the knob were locked. He needed to make sure the doors were locked. Afterward, he went upstairs to his cousin's room. Sitting down in front of his door, his cousin asked what he was doing, and he simply told him not to worry and to keep his head down. He called the police, then his dad and uncle. The police were 30 minutes away, and his dad and uncle were 45 minutes away. Suddenly, he heard the sound of a window shattering. Now, that is one thing I wouldn't be able to handle. And heavy boots walking around the first floor. He told his cousin to stay calm and hide underneath his covers and remain silent. Listening to the man walking around downstairs was horrifying for this kid. He was in high school. He didn't even know what to do. He gripped the meat hammer very tightly and he waited. 5 minutes passed before he heard the boots coming up the stairs. At this point, his heart was pounding in fear. His cousin's door was no more than 10 feet from the stairs. He heard the man opening to his aunt's and uncle's room and then the bathroom. The man walked back downstairs and he heard him open the door to the basement. 30 minutes later, the police arrived. They got the man, they took him, and he was gone. It turned out that the man had escaped from a mental hospital that was one province away. So I imagine what had happened to this kid if he had actually got caught. But if you did enjoy today's video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'm sure to do more in the future. So stay tuned.